Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake, myself, BBD, as we continue to sneak up on the trade deadline. We are 8 days away, next Tuesday. Excited for that, because we are we're still in limbo time. Like, I feel like we've been talking trade deadline for a little bit. We do want to rename this part of the season, and we don't have that yet. Shake up or wake up, I don't know. That one's been really getting to me because I think there's words you can rhyme there, but it would be cool if it's just one word and it's tread line season or it's over. I don't know. Comment below. Still searching for the right one. A week ago, with some foolish Bailey in between, we did some pictures and we did some, what feels right. And we found a couple things we've liked. Obviously, with the pitchers, the Harvard Westlake boys, Giolito, Flaherty, anything LA there. But we also, we found some fun quirks, maybe a Lance Lynn to Philly type deal. We're daydreaming a little bit, so I want to do that with the hitters as well. And probably the reason we did the pitchers first is there's so many more real options at pitcher. Whether it's Giolito, whether it's Flaherty, whether it's Lynn, whether it's Erod, is Snell for sale? Like, those are game-changing guys. With the bats, it's not so much. It really isn't, which is a little disappointing. So, I think last time it kind of helped with a mini run-through of the teams. I'll try to do that quick, and we'll see where we get to. Baltimore, you know how unique they are, but well, actually, I guess it's not going to be quick. And maybe I shouldn't have started with Baltimore. But did you know alphabetically they're first in the American League? Yeah. Arizona and Atlanta in the National League. First AL team. Baltimore. So there's that for you. I don't know. They have all the young guys. They have a ton of hit. Like, Ryan Mountcastle used to be a middle of the lineup guy for them. He's now wrestling for at-bats. You could say the same thing. Ramon Urias won the Gold Glove last year at third base over Matt Chapman. Like, they have some pieces, especially with all the new faces they've called up. Colton Cowser, Jordan Westberg. Like, these guys are now fighting for regular playing time that, I don't know, there's a chance they just love their current hitting mix and they're going to ride that out with some of the young and olds, but they might sneaky be a team that if you need some hitting, like Ryan Mountcastle, that's a guy who's taken a lot of major league at-bats in the middle of the lineup. I know it hasn't been as pretty this season, but the 3 years leading up to this, he's had a positive OPS plus. And like the last 2 years, 144, 145 games. Did them moving the left field fence back a football field hurt him? Could have. I bet Ryan Mountcastle would tell you that. Imagine being a righty power hitter. You almost don't want to hit a 380-foot fly ball to left field. And normally that's kind of the goal. Anyways, I'm interested to see. You guys know where I'm at with the Orioles. My Sox are in an interesting spot. Because I've heard that they're going to trade Adam Duvall because they now have a surplus in the outfield with Jarren Duran. Alex Verdugo, highest WAR on that team. Almost mentioned that on Talking Baseball today, but I did not. In a lot of the articles that were written, Tristan Casas was a big trade piece for them. He just had a monster weekend, multi-homer game. I think they see him as a piece of the future. He's a big boy. When it hits his bat, it goes. Hard for me to picture the tied for last place Red Sox trading in Tristan Casas for something that helps more now. When if he's young and figuring it out, he's kind of what they need.
Yeah, I was about to pop quiz you on Tristan Casas' age. I don't know if you've seen it.
I just saw it.
I figured you might have 23.
Yeah.
Young.
Yeah. And I think they like him. Like my Boston fans, they'll be real with me, and they've been on Tristan all year. So Sox are interesting because like Kike's been in a weird spot with them for a little bit. Adam Duvall has come back. His numbers are still in a weird spot. So they'll they'll be shuffling. They're going to be more invested in the pitching market. The Boston Red Sox, 3rd in average, 5th in on base, 6th in OPS, 5th in runs. So they're going to be checking out pitching more so. White Sox, sell. We've done that. Cleveland, still bizarre. I saw that someone say they're in on Cody Bellinger. I don't know. I don't think so because they're no idea. Detroit Tigers, read an article. They might be selling Torkelson. I don't think that's happening as he's one of their only prospects and figuring it out. I did see an article that was like they're like, Javi Baez has an opt-out. I doubt he'd use it because he's been playing poorly. Houston, I think, is in the market for some hitting. I don't know what those guys are up to. I don't know. They're
a little bit like the anti-Braves in that, like, Braves, they kind of have everything in a good spot, and you're just kind of living in fear of what they might do. Astros, I think you can they talk themselves into kind of needing any given thing, and they can do anything, and I'm scared of all of it.
Current bench, Yainer Diaz, Gray Kessinger, David Hensley, and Bly Madras, old friend. Yeah, I don't know.
Buddy of Cole Tucker's, so.
Altuve and Jordan are still out. They're in on everything in a very Houston way. I think that's kind of the nice way to say it. The Braves can do whatever they want. Houston's going to feel out the market, and I feel like they're going to make a smart move, and they've earned that. Royals, Halos, who knows? So many kids playing for them right now. I mean, we don't necessarily have to do buyers and sellers right now. I think it's more important to get into what's available because there's really not a lot. The few articles I went through, The Athletic. I meant to drive that home, not the word article. And they go around the diamond. And think about this. This is written by The Athletic. Like, this isn't, not to be fully shots fired. There's some Bleacher Report articles that you're like, okay.
It's a guy's list.
We were getting to click in, let's
I looked.
Let's start out with Shohei and click around. The Athletic, they are today's sports, like, premier journalism, right?
I think so.
So I'm going to read some of the names they have at positions, and I want you to, like, digest this. First base, they list off the rip, Andrew Vaughn, Tristan Casas, and Spencer Torkelson. Casas and Torkelson have just, like, started to kind of go, and you think they're a big part of their team's next steps. And Vaughn kind of the same, except he's been better throughout that, like they threw out the Marlins. If they wanted kind of a new lineup anchor, they could give them a good package. I guess so, but I guess you could say that for anyone. Like, when we're normally talking trade deadline, it's kind of this second tier, like CJ Cron. Yes.
That dude was built to be traded at a deadline.
Get him somewhere. The only problem is the Colorado Rockies. Twins keep saying they need a righty power bat. This is a guy that played for the Twins. Figure something out. Jose Abreu, I mean, Astros are in on that. Like this, They're saying like if they eat some of his money, I think they still believe Jose Abreu is going to be Jose Abreu at some point, but that contract is looking worse by the hour. And we were shocked by that third year when it happened. The only other first baseman they mention, Dom Smith, had to bring up his stats, and it was funny the way they phrased this. At the time they wrote this article, he had more hits than Matt Olson and Pete Alonso, but he had no power at the time. And his stats page is a little bizarre. I don't know. He's very much still a team. He's got a 693 OPS this year. If you're a contender, I don't see you going out and getting Dom Smith and thinking that addresses something. So we just went through the first base pool, And there's one guy that jumps out like, yeah, trade deadline candidate.
Someone's getting him.
CJ Cron. And the team that would have to trade him is notorious for not doing that. So we're almost 0 for at first base. So if your team needs a first baseman, a little scary. Second base. Jonathan India is now the big one. We talked about it at the end of Talking Baseball a little bit. It makes sense. The Reds have a surplus of young players. Jonathan India seemingly has good values, double-digit homers and steals this year. The hitting numbers are around league average. He's played almost every game. He leads the NL in games played, so he's there. And yeah, I mean, he still looks the part. He's young. That I guess I countered it on Talking Baseball, where I said, if you're the Reds, be careful with the recipe, because Jonathan India has been a part of the recipe in pretty much every game you've played. But I'm worried what that does to the Reds, because this is a guy that's hit first or third for them basically the whole season. And fifth. But if there aren't a lot of hitters of value, which, by the way you hear me phrasing everything, you should know that there aren't a lot of hitters of value, then Jonathan India, maybe they can really cash in. And maybe don't worry about the chemistry, because you have 7 other young infielders you just called up that are electric. If you're Cincinnati, you better do that one right. And yeah, India, value-wise, all-in value-wise, years, ability, position, he could be the best hitter traded at this deadline. So we'll put in Jonathan India. This article has Mauricio Dubon, who's been kind of pivotal. How come that always gets
That's
me?
always popping up.
Pivotal for the Astros, filling in for Altuve. I don't know. Mauricio Dubon feels like the guy that should be on the bench for the Astros and not some of those other guys. And I think his value skyrocketed. That I don't see that happening. Bryce Terang is mentioned. He's on the Brewers side, prospect side, so that's more so prospect capital going out if they added, but we're still looking for guys to add. Brendan Donovan, he gets listed in all the articles. He's been good. He's crazy versatile. He won that Util Gold Glove. He's been getting on base. He's a good lefty hitter. Every team can kind of use it. He's under team control through 2028. The Cardinals think they're going to be good next year. Brendan Donovan's not happening unless it's like a bigger...
Unless you're going to give something that'll also be good for those years.
Yeah.
That like just...
2028.
Some like legit arm. Like,
how old am I? It's 2023. I turned 34.
I'll be 31 that year.
I mean, it's a different world. And then they list Adam Frazier just because the Orioles have depth. So, I mean, you know what Adam Frazier is. Second base, some corner outfield, round league average hitter.
I've heard he's been traded.
He's been traded, and we'll talk about it. Okay, you need a shortstop. Tim Anderson has been horrible this year. Almost turned into Regis on that one. So I don't know. Could Tim Anderson be traded? Absolutely. Do I know at what value? No. It would be I see the Dodgers listed here. I see the Marlins. It would be a team really taking a chance and a team that's willing to burn some salary. Or maybe there's a salary swap there, but Tim Anderson... I love Tim Anderson. When he was winning batting titles, it doesn't get better than that. He's been a negative 1.1 WAR this year, a 57 OPS plus. He's been one of the worst hitters in baseball. That if you go for Tim Anderson, hey, I believe in trade deadline and getting a spark, but you realize you're taking a chance on something.
He'll be better than he's been, but that's not fixing a team.
I love when guys get traded and find the spark, but boy, does he need to find the spark. Tommy Edmonds listed on this. Interesting, but I don't know. Team control through 2025. Switch hitter. I guess in my head it's more feasible than Donovan, but I think they love Tommy Edman. So, like, I don't think he's a part of that. This article lists Ezekiel Duran, Zeke Duran from the Texas Rangers. I mean, the upgrade that they would have to be trading for Zeke Duran, who's been versatile and incredible. Like, I guess that's the thing that I want to remind you. This was an Athletic article. Like, that's not for the click. Like, I think the Athletic actually did some research and did some polling around the league of who they think could be traded. Duran's only on this list because he's young and good. And in theory, if the Texas Rangers had to trade, you trade someone who's young and good. But I don't know what upgrade you're getting for him. I don't know if Cody Bellinger would be an upgrade for him. So, yeah, that doesn't really make sense to me. This next one turned me in BBD's head a little bit just because, well, more so for the shock you're about to hear. Ahmed Rosario's a free agent after the season. He's been playing shortstop. He's 27. His hitting has been down this year. He's a free agent after the season, so it's a true rental. Never know what those guard dogs are up to, that it just feels like if we woke up and Guardians traded Ahmed Rosario as the last year of his contract, we'd be like, okay, that seems like something the Guardians do. He hasn't been setting the world on fire this year. Maybe another team taps into something. And this is the same article that has Javi Baez. And then Jorge Mateo listed, who somewhat got benched by Baltimore, plays good defense, and is really fast. Teams like taking chances on guys like that.
Every team would love to have that guy on their bench and not have to rely on him.
So would the Orioles, who are the best record in AL. So we just went through the shortstop. The most feasible option for a team is Tim Anderson, who's been atrocious.
Free Tim Anderson if you want him.
Okay. Third base. I'll give you the names quick. Well, Ramon Urias from the Birds. Circle that. That's interesting. Otherwise, Yoan Moncada, which almost same as Tim Anderson. He hasn't been as bad, but he's owed some big boy money. I think he's 17 this year, 24 mil next year for Moncada. And he hasn't been average. So I don't know what you do with that. I mean, this article lists J.D. Davis, who's been the heart of the Giants lineup, just as like a quick flip. Like, no, I think they rely on him. I know Casey Schmidt's supposed to take over there, but I don't think he's available. Would the Rockies trade Ryan McMahon? He's on the books till 2027. No. Patrick Wisdom, sure, but he's slowed down a lot, and he's had an IL stint or two. If you're a contender, what are you really buying into? A corner versus lefty player? That can be a trade deadline piece, but, we like the impact moves. We like the Juan Soto trade. They list Nick Senzel from the Reds, too. Just a matter of fact of if they're moving bodies. Here's another body to move. The one name is Jeimer Candelario, which might end up being like the best hitter traded this deadline. We'll talk Ohtani in a minute, but he has been great this year. He's a switch hitting third baseman. He's been better at third. I think he can play first as well. I saw some Yankee rumors today, and I laughed, and they were like, well, Donaldson went down. And I was like, whoa, in my head, Donaldson's never really been the third baseman.
I'd been reading about Candelario and the Yanks for a bit.
I mean, they need anything, but...
It was particularly... DJ's been on a heater for almost 2 weeks, so... Oh. Hey, make that a real one, but...
He is true rental. He's having a great season. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. He will be traded. He's a very interesting case of, I guess, what contender or team is going to buy into him. Because do you believe he's as good as he's been? Because, he's playing head and shoulders above his career numbers. Although, it's a solid career. His 2020 and 2021 are very nice seasons. Comparable to this year. So I wouldn't say fool's gold, but This is a guy who played in Detroit. This is a guy that's now doing it for the Nationals. That I don't know. To be thrown at third base for one of the contending teams, like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like, that doesn't feel like the Dodgers move.
True rental. If he's your 7 hitter in a playoff series, and he's a little bit that formula we talk about. But it's got to be the right team. The Yankees should be your 5th hitter.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even higher if we're being honest. But
Rizzo's fixed. So
what's the landing spot for him? In my heart, he feels like a giant sicko player, but they have so many of those guys, it feels weird.
He would look good in a Giants uniform, but
could Milwaukee buy in? Yeah,
that's something they'd do.
Okay, I like Milwaukee. Miami, I know they're rumored for hitting always.
Yeah. We had their rumor on this show.
Atlanta, no. Seattle, no. Eugenio's been pretty solid for them. Like, I really don't see Tampa doing it. Texas, no. Toronto, no. Twins, maybe. They're looking for a righty. He's a switch hitter. Houston, Breggy. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a giant sicko mode. But they've even, like, Tyro's hurt. He's going to be back at so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an actual fit for this trade, but
like, Milwaukee right now seems like
Milwaukee Marlins and like a step or two
Minnesota
down. I've got kind of Yankees. Twins are an option.
Okay.
I think they've liked what they've gotten from Castro, and he bounces around, but a lot of third for him. Farmer.
The fact we're spending this much time on Jeimer Candelario means I'm worried about the hitting at the deadline. But I'm not worried about placing my bets at the DraftKings Sportsbook because they're reliable. Instant. Place the bet, game's over, win or lose, bong, bing, bango. And right now, if you sign up DraftKings Sportsbook and use code BAKERS, $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code BAKERS only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Massachusetts. Call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. In West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In partnership with the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, varied by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bet expires 7 days after issuance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet $50. 10 plus leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Baseball. The outfield. Cody Bellinger, yes. Yes. And the good news for Cody Bellinger, between outfield, between first base, almost any team could add Cody Bellinger. So
board's open.
Yeah, there will be availability for Cody Bellinger to join your team. He's been raking since the All-Star break. The Cubs, I don't think they've done enough, although they took 3 of 4 from the Birds, Cardinals, not Orioles or Blue Jays. The Reds have become real, and the Brewers are real, and there's a reason you signed Belly to this contract. And again, he could be the best hitter available. Like, he's a pure rental. India's got years attached to him. A team is going to go for him. Every team is in play. Like, I don't know. Can I even dream up of a Dodgers reunion? Like, I haven't heard that yet. I think both sides would be a little scared, but Peralta, Hayward, Outman. No, you can't do that. Yankee fans were begging for him. Then they got scared off by their own team. Literally every team can use a Cody Bellinger. Plus defender, been a plus offensive player. Really looks like he's returned to form. He will be, if I had to bet at the DraftKings Sportsbook, I would bet on him being the most impactful offensive player traded. Which again, I'm hopeful. Like there's two ways you can paint Cody Bellinger. You can paint him as young ball player, former MVP, electric, kind of five tools. Me and us and Trevor got a little lost in five tools today on Talking Baseball. Or, he's been down for a couple years, and are you scared of it being a little fluky? I don't know. But I know some team's going to take a chance on Cody Bellinger, and he is probably the most impactful player available. IMO. The other outfielders that it's a fun list. Again, going back to our Rockies, Randall Grichuk and Jurickson Profar are two guys that should be traded, both expiring contracts. I don't know what either really does for you. A Randall Grichuk versus lefties, he's lights out, and he's actually having a really nice year. And if he plays against the Yankees, he turns into prime Mickey Mantle. So if I was in the Yankees division, or the one that literally scared us, I think, on an episode before, was if Houston trades for Randall Grichuk. But I mean, these are your normal deadline. Yeah, who's up this year?
He gonna have a good 2 months for us?
Yeah, either one of them.
He can run around center field. You trust him.
They could each of those guys could get traded to a team and get buried on a bench. Like, kind of look at Trey Mancini last year for Houston. Like, 2 months of baseball. That's a tight time frame. They list all the Cardinals guys. Dylan Carlson, he's got years to him. Switch hitter, which makes him a little more appealing. Tyler O'Neill's value is down. Otherwise, I think it would be a Carlson-O'Neill conversation. There's a chance Carlson just is what he is, like around league averagey, can play some good outfield, D. Play some good defense. And it becomes a numbers game that they like Nootbaar. I think they still believe in O'Neill. Burleson has come up, but just come up. Like, he's probably not a free agent till 29 or something. So
Jordan Walker exists.
So
they're moving an outfielder.
I think Dylan Carlson will be moved. I guess the more I think about it, he feels like the Yankees fit. He can play center field. He has years beyond this year, so it's not like a pure trade deadline move. But also a switch hitting outfielder that can play every position. Every team wants that.
There's room.
Every team wants that. Whether it clicks this year or, if you can bring him in next offseason, a true spring training, and whatever your team's secret sauce is, you can do that.
I mean, stop talking about the Yankees so much. He is the Yankees, thing. Guy with years who has a very high level of baseline talent and showed early results.
The Yankees, they love a
fix.
They love maybe we can fix you.
And he plays everywhere.
Adam Duvall's a really interesting one. Got off to a hot start with the Sox. I mentioned him before with Kike. They're starting to run into a log jam, and if there's not a lot of availability, that's a guy that can play every position. He's got a Gold Glove from playing center field. Interested to see how the Red Sox navigate that kind of surplus. Lane Thomas is another really interesting one for me. You've heard me hitting on that across different ones. Can play some really good defense, has fully broken out, speed and power, team control through 2025. And if you're the Nationals, next year doesn't seem like the year for the Nationals. The Braves are still going to be really good. Where are the Mets, Marlins? Phillies are going to be competing full tilt. Let's see where the Mets and Marlins are going to be. If you're the Nationals, it feels like 2025 is going to become the real aim. Let's go out and compete for the division in 2025. And that's when Lane Thomas is up. So if you know that, a guy that didn't have a lot of value currently kind of has a lot of value. That if you turn his chips into your 2025 chips, that feels like a smart move. And Lane Thomas feels like a really smart move on one of these pseudo-contender teams that can say we added for this deadline and we added for the next 2 years. That he's really on my radar that feels like a trade that can get done with someone. I see the Guardians listed as a fit. I guess that's interesting. Who knows where they're at? Right now they're under 500 and they hate adding payroll. So
he's gonna just hit ARB and
outside of that, man, listen to these other names. They list Orioles, Santander, and Hayes on this list. Like, those guys are kind of crucial to what they do. I know there's prospects everywhere, but
yeah, would it be the most shocking thing in the world if they moved one? No, but depends what it's for.
It would have to be a real piece. That would have to be the Dylan Cease or something like that. Like Austin Hayes.
He'd be the MLB piece going back to the White Sox for what they can use now.
It's not crazy, but that'll, I don't know. That still doesn't feel like the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I know it is, obviously, but it's not your classic, team winning division, although they are. Upgrades for trade deadline piece. That's changing the outlook of your next 3 seasons or so. And they love Austin Hayes, man. I talk about messing up with the recipe with India. I wouldn't touch Austin Hayes or Santander.
Santander's been in the mix for them with some bad, for the Orioles' bad years. He was
man.
Their only guy.
He's in the middle of the lineup. Switch hits. Real. If they were out of it, I think he would have been in play, but they're the best team in the AL.
I hate to do this and go back to a guy, but Lane Thomas was the return that the Nats got for.
Was he a Cardinal?
He was a Cardinal. 2021 John Lester.
Whoa.
Had a 5 ERA at the time they flipped him. The Cardinals did not expect this. Cardinals burned by another prospect. They moved a little bit. Lester was okay. Anyway,
traded.
They have found money in that, so I think they got to cash in.
Traded from their outfield depth. Might have traded some of the wrong guys. Randy, Lane,
Adolis Garcia.
Adolis. I don't know, man. This article lists Teoscar Hernandez, and yeah, he's a rental, but I don't think the Mariners are punting unless they go 1-6 this week, which maybe they will.
It'd have to go all the way bad fast.
Catchers, you've been hearing about Salvi Perez, but I don't think that happens.
Yeah. We joke about it. They named him captain in April.
Yeah, and the Royals operate differently. Salvi's our guy. Salvi's going to go into our Hall of Fame. I think the Salvi book's written at least for a couple more years.
If Salvi asked for it, which I don't think he's the type that's gonna, but if he did, I'm sure they'd accommodate.
I don't know. It would be a fun one if they do. This article is Travis d'Arnaud. I think the Braves love what they've got going on. He is the perfect Sean Murphy insurance, and you start that guy for a day and be fine. But that just doesn't make sense for me. The Braves trading a huge insurance piece for them.
It's not like they have some glaring need that if they trade from this area of depth fixed, they're kind of covered. Keep the depth.
Not gonna happen. Yan Gomes, sure, he's 35 now.
Cash out.
Backup platoon catcher. That's what we're talking about.
Mash and lefties, I think.
That's all he knows. Elias Diaz is the fun one that, again, you hope the Rocks cash in some chips. A guy with not great career numbers having a career year. He was the All-Star MVP, All-Star catcher. You got to, Pop. Every team can use a catcher except the Atlanta Braves, basically. I don't know. Someone's going to bite. I know I've seen the Rays in some articles. It doesn't feel super Raysy to change up your catcher game. I I hope some team does take a chance on him. And then following up from that, I hope it's a team I can root for because I hope it doesn't become a fleecing. Like, oh, yeah, Elias Diaz went over and he was back to being bad. I'm going to root for that guy. The DHs are headlined by Shohei Ohtani, who you may be familiar with. No, it's funny. Joey Meneses is listed. Know when his contract is up?
He's got some time.
2028. 2028. So, hey, it's a little free money for the Nats, but it's also, I don't know. This guy can be here in 2 years. Jorge Soler is listed. I think the Marlins aren't going to punt. McCutchen is listed. We don't know if the Pirates are going to hold on to them or if they have a mutual, yeah, I'm okay going somewhere. Brent Rooker is listed in this, and like he has faded pretty hard since his start. Jock is on the Giants. The Giants are in it. So how many names have I even said with any conviction? I just went around the whole infield, outfield, the horn, if you will. First base, C.J. Cron, yes, with an asterisk.
If he was on some other team, we'd say he's for sure getting traded.
Jonathan India is a yes with an asterisk just because it's not really a deadline deal. Like, that's more of, it's a future of your team trade that if you're the Reds and you're not getting, like, if you're the Reds and you're not getting the value you think for Jonathan India, you're not going to trade him.
No, you can sort it out in the
like, it's not just a deadline, let's figure this out. Like, no.
Clock's not ticking on that.
So there's your asterisk. I mean, even, then it's Adam Frazier, which gets a mini asterisk. The shortstop position, the most likely of these guys, Paul DeYoung not listed,
he'll go somewhere.
would be Tim Anderson, who has been really bad. Really bad. Jeimer Candelario, we talked about. After him, I don't know. Cody Bellinger, yes. Is there anyone else?
That's like, I know that guy is going to get traded. A Cardinal.
And
the heavy favorite is Carlson. He's just been the odd man out there.
Mets are probably, I guess
they cash in on one of Canna or Pham at least.
Yeah, you'd like to think they do that, and you think the Padres do something, right? But like,
yeah, I think today the headline that they're not trading Snell or Hader, which I guess.
Tommy Pham may be available. I don't know. I guess I was hoping to land on, when we did the pitching, there's some kind of cute
Stumbled
matchups
into some full takes
for players. Even a Diamondbacks Jack Flaherty getting pissy. Even Snell to the Sox. But it seems like he could be off the table. Who really knows? The hitters leads to Cody Bellinger and Jonathan India are your prized possessions, which, hey, those are nice. Those can be impactful. Jonathan India could go hit fifth for a contender. Belly could do the same, play good defense, feel significant. But, man, I don't know. It's continuing this storyline of what is this deadline? Are we going to get some more retooled trades that I've been asking for? It's we have this piece, we have this piece. You have them for 3 or 4 years, and it doesn't have to feel like the deadline. It feels like a future move. I would be a fan of that. But teams are really hesitant to do that. Teams hate getting burnt. The Cardinals front office right now does not like hearing about Randy or Adelise or Lane Thomas. So, I don't know, man. And it's where I get scared. You can hear it in my voice as a Yankee fan. They need hitting. A lot of teams that really need hitting, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that revamp is up there. I know I always reference the 21 Braves, and those outfield ads didn't seem sexy at the time. And maybe something like that can happen, but I don't know. If you're a team that needs hitting, like, give me one fit. Give me something that's just like, ooh. Like, to be rude, it was Cody Bellinger and the Yankees. They needed an outfielder. His daddy played for the Yankees. They needed a lefty. Like, yep, okay.
You don't strike out anymore.
Process. But the Yankees don't feel like they earn it, and other teams are in on Cody that almost nothing jumps out as like, yep.
That's the one.
Lock that in. Like, whatever team Giolito gets traded for, I don't think we're going to end up being surprised. Whether that's the Dodgers, whether that's Philly, whether that's it's going to make sense. They needed a starting pitcher. They got one.
Pitcher's a little bit the game is you can always use one more. So, and a guy like Giolito specifically.
Doesn't it just feel like normally at the deadline we're like, ooh, these three teams need outfield, and this is how it's going to...
Yeah.
The Yankees and the Red Sox, Schwarber and Rizzo. Everyone kind of knew they were in on something like that. They had the teams reversed. When it actually happened, no one was really surprised. They each needed a lefty power bat. Yanks went Rizzo. The Red Sox more so needed a first baseman. Yanks went Rizzo. They went Kyle from Waltham, and that's how it sorted out. Like, I don't even know who else is screaming like that's... It's a really weird thing. Like, Tampa, Texas... Tampa's Tampa, so they're just kind of off the table in their own
They
way.
exist in weird.
Like, they can do anything, and we wouldn't be shocked. Braves are cracked. Texas is sneaky cracked. That Texas Ranger fans have convinced me that they're probably going to go in on pitching. Dodgers and Giants fans mad at me in the pitching episode, saying they're both probably going for pitching. Giants fans were like, Jake's normally off touch with his Giants takes. Let me in. Let me know what I need to know.
You're ready.
But I don't know what that org is about.
They just do stuff.
Like, who else? The Yankees need hitting. Bang. Lock that in. The Twins are right-hand. How about that? Let's get CJ Cron to the Twins. That's my one ask.
Org's familiar.
You know him. He's hitting. Rockies, you should trade him. That is my one ask. Otherwise, I'm loose. You guys tell me. Hashtag sound off in the comments. Because I don't know. I'm not seeing the board. I was hoping to land here with some sexy picks, and I don't really have them.
Yeah, there's nothing. We didn't like really stumble into anything. Like
where?
Was there somebody we said we like for Candelario after all?
There were a couple teams. Like Miami, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
I like Milwaukee. We can dream on that.
That was the only one that like it kind of made me feel something.
Do we have a front runner for Jonathan India?
Could be a little bit anybody because he's got the years.
Right, because he's a good young second baseman. Is he a fit in Boston? Trev likes Seattle. That was interesting.
I don't hate that. Those two teams trade a lot. I just had kind of, and maybe it's just the colors they wear thing, but I don't hate the Angels as a fit. They just kind of need anybody. Hey, they're not going to trade him.
But they're looking for young, controllable pitching, and that's who has that?
Who has that and is perfectly willing to give it up?
I don't know.
That's proven at the big league level.
Yeah, it's a really...
Angels pitching, their starters kind of took...
Their
stats aren't where we would have thought coming into this year. We were kind of high on them.
Dean Kramer, Adam Frazier and Dean Kramer to the Reds. I don't know, people. I just know we're a week out. Big Wednesday talking baseball up, where hopefully we'll clear our heads on some thoughts there. This Wednesday, we'll see over here. Maybe we'll rope Jolly in. I still want us to have bad takes. We'll see what's going on. We love you guys. Be safe.